What if ancient civilizations had technology so advanced that it could rival our own? Sounds impossible, right? Today we're uncovering relics from the past that defy explanation, challenging everything we thought we knew about history. Ready to be amazed? Alright, picture this. You're out exploring some ancient ruins expecting to find the usual pottery or perhaps a dusty old statue. Instead, you come across a device that looks like it belongs in a modern science lab, not buried for thousands of years. Really? Well, that's exactly what happened when divers stumbled upon the Antikythera mechanism in Greece. It's 1901 and some divers were exploring a shipwreck off the coast of Antikythera, a Greek island. Now, they were probably expecting to find the usual treasure, maybe some coins, pottery or statues, but what they discovered changed our understanding of ancient technology forever. They pulled out this strange corroded bronze object from the wreckage. It looked pretty much like a lump of rusted metal, but when researchers examined it closely, they realised it was something way beyond anything from ancient Greece, or so they thought. The object, now known as the Antikythera mechanism, is sometimes called the world's first analog computer. Yep, a computer. And it was built over 2,000 years ago. The device is packed with more than 30 bronze gears, dials and even pointers. But here's where it gets really wild. It wasn't just a bunch of random parts. Nope. This device was carefully designed to track the movements of the sun, moon and planets. It could even predict eclipses. And get this, it was so advanced that nothing similar was created for over 1,000 years afterwards. Imagine that. Now, why would an ancient civilization need something like this? Some experts believe it was used by Greek astronomers to track important celestial events or even plan major gatherings like the Olympic Games. Can you imagine an ancient Greek scientist, gears and all, calculating the next big celestial event by hand? It sounds incredible, but that's what this device was for, and we're not talking about something simple either. It was accurate enough to show lunar cycles and even follow the path of Venus. But if they had this technology back then, who else knows what may have existed that we've never even found? Number 2, the Baghdad Battery. Now, the Antikythera mechanism is just one example, but let's hop over to Iraq, where in 1938 archaeologists found something even stranger, the Baghdad Battery. Wait, did you say battery? Yep, a battery, and it's potentially 2,000 years old. The Baghdad Battery is a small clay pot, inside of which there's a copper cylinder, and within that an iron rod. When scientists tested it with some acidic solution like vinegar or lemon juice, it created a tiny electric charge. Okay, let that sink in. Ancient people, thousands of years ago, may have known how to create electricity. But hold on a second, why would they even need electricity back then? There are a few theories. One idea is that these ancient batteries were used for electroplating, basically covering objects in a thin layer of metal. Imagine a pot or a statue with a shiny coating of gold. Fancy, right? Some believe this may have been an ancient trick to make things look more valuable. Another theory suggests it was used in religious ceremonies to give people a little shock during rituals. Imagine going to a ceremony and suddenly feeling a tiny zap. Now, some skeptics argue that it may have just been a coincidence, or maybe it had a different purpose altogether. But here's the thing, even if it wasn't used as a battery, the fact that it could work as one makes you wonder just how much did they know about science back then. Number 3, Piri Reis Map. Okay, here's another ancient relic that really makes you scratch your head. Let's talk about the Piri Reis map, created in 1513 by an Ottoman admiral named Piri Reis. This map's famous for its surprising accuracy. Now, maps from that time period weren't usually very precise. Let's face it, cartography wasn't exactly easy without satellites. But this map shows the coasts of Europe, North Africa, Brazil, and wait for it, Antarctica. Yep, Antarctica. And here's the catch. Antarctica wasn't officially discovered until the early 19th century, nearly 3,000 years later. So how did an Ottoman admiral in 1513 draw a coastline that looks suspiciously like Antarctica? And if that's not enough, some researchers claim the map shows Antarctica without ice. It's pretty mind-blowing. Could ancient civilizations have known about these lands and mapped them out before the ice covered everything? Was there a lost civilization with knowledge of the globe that we don't know about? Number 4, the Saxo-Human Fortress. Alright, let's take a trip over to Peru for another stunner. We're at the ancient Saxo-Human Fortress near Cusco. Now, this fortress isn't just any old stone structure. The stones used in its construction are massive, some weighing over 100 tons, and they're cut with such precision that they fit together like puzzle pieces. No mortar, no gaps, just tightly fitting stones. Today, we'd need cranes and modern machinery to move rocks that size, so how did the Incas do it? Some people believe that they had access to advanced technology or techniques that were lost over time. Others suggest that they used a mysterious kind of ancient knowledge to shape and transport these stones. Whatever the method, no one's been able to replicate their work exactly. Even with all of our technology, we can't quite figure out how they did it. It's like they had a lost art of engineering. Number 5, the Shroud of Turin. Let's switch gears a bit and talk about a relic that's just as famous as it is mysterious, the Shroud of Turin. This ancient piece of cloth has sparked intense debates for centuries. It bears the image of a man who seems to have marks consistent with crucifixion wounds. Many believe it could be the burial cloth of Jesus Christ. Now that's a bold claim, and scientists have studied this shroud inside and out, trying to determine its authenticity. Radiocarbon dating suggested that it might be a medieval forgery from around the 13th century. But here's the twist. Other studies have cast doubts on those results, saying the samples may have been contaminated. Then there's the question of how the image was created. Was it painted? Did it appear naturally? Or was it created by some unknown technique? Some even suggested it was caused by a burst of energy. Yep, really, a burst of energy that somehow imprinted the man's image onto the cloth. So, is it a relic from ancient times or a clever medieval creation? No one can say for sure, but it's definitely one of those artifacts to keep historians and scientists guessing. Now, let's zoom out a bit and think about what all of these artifacts mean. The Antikythera mechanism, the Baghdad battery, the Piri Reis map, Saxo-Human Fortress, and the Shroud of Turin. Each one of these relics challenges what we think we know about history. They make us wonder, did ancient civilizations know more than we give them credit for? Could they have had technology that we've simply forgotten over time? Of course, there are skeptics. Some argue that these artifacts are being misinterpreted, that maybe we're reading too far into them. They suggest that these relics were the product of trial and error, clever techniques, or simply coincidence. But even if that's true, it doesn't take away from the fact that they're amazing accomplishments for their time. And for those who like to believe in the more mysterious explanations, well, these relics certainly leave the door open for some wild theories. Some people say, what if aliens helped build these things, or what if these artifacts are evidence of a lost civilization? It might sound out there, but the fact that we're still talking about these relics today shows just how intriguing they are. So, what's the takeaway? Whether or not ancient people had advanced technology in the way we understand it today, there's no denying that they were resourceful, creative, and maybe more scientifically knowledgeable than we usually imagine. These relics serve as a reminder that history isn't always as straightforward as it seems. Sometimes we find evidence that suggests ancient people weren't so different from us. They had their own ways of solving problems, some of which we're still trying to figure out. And who knows, there might even be more out there just waiting to be uncovered. In the end, relics like the Antikythera mechanism, Baghdad battery, Piri Reis map, Saxo-Human, and Shroud of Turin give us a peek into the mysteries of the ancient world. They force us to ask big questions and challenge our assumptions. Really, who knows what else is hiding in the sands of time? If these relics could survive for thousands of years, maybe there are still more secrets waiting to be found, and every discovery like this reminds us of one important truth. History is full of surprises. And here's the kicker. These artifacts are likely just the tip of the iceberg as archaeologists continue to dig, dive, and explore untouched sites. Who knows what other relics might come to light? Each discovery could challenge our understanding of ancient civilizations even further. Think about it, new technologies like ground-penetrating radar and advanced scanning techniques mean we're on the brink of uncovering even more secrets. Imagine what else could be out there hidden in forgotten tombs, submerged in oceans, or buried beneath shifting sands. waiting to reveal stories that could change everything we thought we knew about human history. What are your views on these ancient relics? Drop down in the comments. Alright, that's it for today's deep dive into the world's most puzzling ancient relics. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed exploring these mysteries, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss our next adventure into the unknown. See you next time, history buffs.